Welcome everyone to the podcast, Crypto Podcast with me, Coach 23, and welcome back to Bad Take with Coach 23. So it's been a while again. I believe 2 weeks since my last podcast aired, and I'm back on my home turf here in Laguna with my WWE title belt, some of my action figures in the back again. But yeah, I was supposed to do a show last week. Just got lazy for some reason. Uh, Maybe mainly because of my day slash night job of being a freelancer as an analyst for a financial company in the States. It really takes my time. It's really tiring. Then if you are a fan, a subscriber of my show, my channel, uh, I'm also taking care of my youngest son in the day after my job at night. So it's really eating up some. So some of my time or most of my time I have a bad hair day. I hate shaving my head bald because it grows weird. But yeah, just for because of my son. We shave his head as well. So yeah. Yeah, I was supposed to do like a show last week, talking about Goldberg's retirement and other stuff. Saturday night's main event. What else? Evolution, NXT, AEW. They did a good, in my opinion, all in. But it's still subjective whether it's really that good or not. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, got lazy or not lazy, just got really tired or exhausted. Because yeah, we were also in my parents' place in Manila, and yeah, I have daddy duties to do as well my other kids. But yeah, right now I guess this is like a good slash bad time to do a show. But I'm rocking a WWE T-shirt. Rise Above Hate. This is my probably my favorite John Cena shirt of all time. Uh, not this one because this one is a WWE thing, but the message and the look itself is really good. But yeah, so we're here to discuss the life of Hulk Hogan. So, recently, uh, yeah, he passed away earlier this week or latter part of this week. He passed on July 24th last week or this week, whatever your calendar is, due to cardiac arrest. He was 71 years old when he passed away. Um, so Hulk Hogan is I'm growing old. Hulk Hogan is such a polarizing character, personality. Uh, I've been a fan for almost 4 decades now. I'm 40 something. I'm on my early 40s. My first wrestling show or program that I saw was when my dad rented this VHS or Betamax tape. Go to the 80s and you know what's it. What is it? And he rented, I believe he rented like three. He rented SummerSlam, Royal Rumble. No, I don't know if there's SummerSlam at the time, but he rented a few tapes. But vividly, I remember he rented WrestleMania 3. So WrestleMania 3 was my first exposure to wrestling, to pro wrestling, WWE, especially WWF at the time, World Wrestling Federation. Sorry, WWF World Wildlife Fund. Sorry, but yeah, World Wrestling Federation at the time. So I saw the main event. Hulk Hogan defending the WWF World Wrestling Federation Championship against Andre the Giant in front of a raucous crowd of, you know, whatever you believe in, 90 plus thousand people in Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan. Uh, and of course, the show was actually popularized with the main event of Hogan versus Andre the Giant, with Hogan slamming Andre the Giant at the time, and it was claimed that it was the first. uh pinfall loss of Andre the Giant, but they said it's televised because he lost a few times, multiple times. But yeah, but whatever storyline you want to believe in. So of course, as a fan, as a young kid, um, your belief is different because most children, maybe 9 out of 10 children, if you expose them to any show, movies, wrestling, whatnot, they will cheer the good guys. And I will admit, I was a Hulkamaniac at the time. I believe in Hulk Hogan at the time because when I were like I said, when I was exposed to the wrestling business, maybe it took like maybe 2 or 3 years before I know that wrestling is scripted or predetermined. Or yeah, you know what? I will not say the F words because I'm not a wrestler, but I know the pains and tribulations of the wrestlers themselves. Being a fan for a long time, so I was a Hulkamaniac, and me seeing this guy, this big dude, slamming even this bigger dude, it's like mind blown. To me, I was born in the 80s, early 80s, been a fan for 80s, 90s, so I consider myself an 80s and 90s kid. Um, I consider Hulk Hogan an icon. I consider Hulk Hogan as not just part of because they claim it's American culture, but for me he's a pop culture icon, worldwide, global icon. I consider him as popular as if I'm going to some aspect, he's my Optimus Prime, he's Superman. That's how popular he is. Because he exposes this trait of say your prayers, take your vitamins, and take care of yourself. So, in other words, if you are a fan of WWE recently, meaning earlier this century, 2000s, you know John Cena. So back on my time, Hulk Hogan was our John Cena. So he is like, if we're not comparison in terms of athleticism or whatnot, if John Cena is LeBron James, Hulk Hogan is like Michael Jordan. If you reverse them, put John Cena in the 80s and Hulk Hogan now with the same, popularity and whatnot, it might be different. It's the culture. It's the impact on the culture and the sports that what they provided. It's not really their athleticism. Although I will tell you latter part of this, the show of how Hulk Hogan can be good athletically. So yeah, Hulk Hogan passed away, but his impact in the wrestling business is still as big, in my opinion, as anyone else. Maybe perhaps there is no WWE on Netflix. There's no billion-dollar, you know, valuation of WWE without Hulk Hogan, without Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan's partnership in the 80s. They partnered or they ushered rock and wrestling era at the time, popularized WWE. They are the components of making WWE from a regional territorial business to a in the states a nationwide business to a global business. So they made money. They backed on each other, Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan, which in some people's perspective are pariahs of the pro wrestling industry right now, or even in WWE, because of the latter part of their lives or recently happened in their lives. But we're going to talk about that maybe in a while. But so yeah, Hulk Hogan ushered he became synonymous to wrestling at the time because it was ushered also from WWE from being like a wrestling company to a storyline based company. Of course, at that time in the 80s, you still have your Jim Crockett's promotions or NWA, AWA, which they're focusing more on in ring action, pro wrestling, because if you have Hulk Hogan in the 80s in WWE, You have Ric Flair in NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, Nick Bockwinkel in AWA. So it's a different, perspective or mindset of who you follow, who you choose. It's wrestling. So, but again, Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon's, mindset. Let's make wrestling big. So, despite ending the territorial or regional business of pro wrestling, making them nationwide. At the time, the first, if I believe, the first Saturday night's main event, they garnered like 30 million on NBC with the rematch of Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, which is basically the biggest at the time, or even now, still the highest viewership ever for a pro wrestling event because it's on free TV in the States. But yeah, I believe Hogan has like almost a decade or even less than a decade of uh, r- running a successful or having a successful run in WWE until the early 90s of, WWE starts to change their trajectory. They wanted something younger. So hence the new generation era of Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor Ramon, Undertaker, Yokozuna, those names. Hulk Hogan at the time being popular, being at the time I believe he was like a four-time or five-time WWE champion, decided to leave the wrestling business for a while, do like TV shows. I believe one of the most popular, even for me. Like it's so weird that I liked it. Thunder in Paradise, wherein he's like driving a speedboat. It's like Knight Rider on a boat, a speedboat. But I like that show. I love that show. He did like B or not even B, C listed or D listed movies like Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny. My one of my personal favorite, No Holds Barred, because for me, yeah, like I said, I'm a Hulk Hogan fan. I was a fan of. I was a Hulkamaniac because by the time I believe in characters before the in-ring action, you know, took my mind. Um, so he left WWE for a while. Then came Ted Turner and Eric Bishop knocking, signed him for WCW, and I believe he signed around like 1993 or 1994. Immediately in his first match, he became a world champion in WCW, beating Ric Flair at Bash at the Beach, I believe 1994. Or yeah, 93 or 94. You can. I'm not reading anything. My phone is blank, so I'm just getting things from the top of my head. But the thing is, with this run in WCW, it's weird because since he's not a WCW creation, fans started to resent him despite still being, him having the trademark of the name Hulk Hogan, him having the trademark of Hulkamania, he wasn't really cheered that much. He was being, he has mixed reaction, or he had mixed reaction at the time because there are certain scandals in WWE, steroid use and whatnot, and maybe that's a blowback to him. So, mid 90s, 1996 specifically, two of the WWE's main or major stars decided to leave because of, money, guaranteed salary and whatnot. So Kevin Nash, formerly known as Diesel in WWE, and Razor Ramon first, which is Scott Hall, decided to leave WWE. They went to WCW, signed, and hence they became the outsiders. Um, Basically, they were supposed to like a wink wink start a scenario of WWE sent them, the two of them, the outsiders, to WCW to destroy them from within. But yeah, legal issues came out, said no, we didn't send them. So WWE at the time sued WCW for that. But the storyline after they just, after maybe a few weeks of that supposed to be storyline, they decided to no, it's us. We signed from WCW, but we want to destroy it from within because you guys are old, you guys are this, you're dinosaurs and whatnot. Uh, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall challenge three of WCW's best, whoever they want to showcase at the time, to face them at Bash at the Beach 1996. So it's WCW chose Sting, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Lex Luger to defend WCW's honor against Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, plus one other guy. Supposedly, according to Eric Bishop and some expert or whatnot, the third guy was supposed to be Sting. So it was Sting there in that supposedly six-man tag match. Um, but so it's like more on a turn during the match because according to their books, both Hulk Hogan and Eric Bishop's books, Eric Bishop went to Hulk Hogan and said, "Do you want to? We want to turn you heel." And this was like 1995, a year even before Bash at the Beach 1996. So they said, "We want to turn you heel, just to refresh your character, freshen your character up." And Hulk Hogan said no, because I believe the terms or the phrase or sentence that he used in the books, like, "Until you walked on my red and yellow boots, you don't know why I'm Hulk Hogan." I'm paraphrasing or phrasing, meaning the popularity of Hulk Hogan or the impact of Hulk Hogan in terms of being a good guy or a babyface. Because even Hulk Hogan himself believed that he was a good guy at the time. So yeah, um, then hence 1996. According to maybe a week or two, according to their books or even interviews or podcasts, that like 2 weeks or 3 weeks even, Hulk Hogan called Eric Bishop, invited him to his home, and Hulk Hogan asked Eric Bishop who was the third guy, and Eric Bishop said probably Sting, and Hulk Hogan said no, your third guy is me. You're looking at him. So finally, Hulk Hogan has this epiphany of maybe to refresh or freshen his character up, he needs to turn heel. He needs to turn to turn on bad guy. Since fans are already booing him, maybe he was like I said, comparison to John Cena, he's like the polarizing character at the time in WCW. Kids are cheering him, older guys are booing him. So he said he'll be the third guy, and hence the turn of the at the time the century. The ultimate good guy in Hulk Hogan joined Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, the Outsiders, to form the New World Order in WCW, and that storyline. So it's like I'm comparing again. If you're a newer wrestling fan or even a fan of recent wrestling, they're the bloodline at the time. That's how their story prolonged for a long time. The difference with bloodline and the NWO, or they have certain cultural impact at the time or their own times, but the NWO wasn't really handled that well because at the time they were supposed to say they're supposed to only be like 4 or 5 members until they ballooned to like 15. That even they expanded to Japan. But yeah, Hulk Hogan became a bad guy. He turned and renamed himself Hollywood Hulk Hogan, shortened it to Hollywood Hogan. He removed the Hulk at the time in WCW. So they were like, they ran roughshod in WCW, became world champion, WCW world champion again for a long time. He was like Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns at that time. He will show up whenever he wants or whenever he is really that needed. There was like a period of time in WCW that the WCW world title wasn't defended for like months. And if you're familiar with that in recent WWE, you know what I'm talking about. So that's how their cultural impact is really, really big. So Hogan became a member of the NWO, or became the leader of NWO with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, at the time Six, also known as X-Pac, Giant, Big Show, Paul White, Million Dollar Man, Eric Bishop himself. Um, then, certain things happen in WCW. One of the most infamous stories that happened in WCW was around Bash at the Beach is as well. I believe it's 2000. Yeah, it was 2000. Bash at the Beach 2000, when that was the last time that Hulk Hogan appeared in WCW TV because he had an internal feud or disagreement with at the time WCW writer uh, Vince Russo, who was a writer before that for WWE for Vince McMahon. Uh, and yeah, things happened, and lawsuits happened even back then because they're like Hulk Hogan at the time, being the biggest superstar in WCW. He had a certain thing called creative clause in his creative control in his contract, meaning he can say no to any creative input that was, you know, presented to him, and that hence the famous phrase of "that doesn't work for me, brother." Sorry, but I have to insert that. But yeah, because they presented storylines for him, he presented a new storyline. Eric Bishop presented a new storyline until Vince Russo did business for himself, according to them, that he slandered Hulk Hogan's, you know, personally. Then that was the last time that Hulk Hogan was seen in WCW TV. Until a few years, 2002, when WCW was purchased by or acquired by WWE. Uh, Still no Hulk Hogan, despite the WCW invasion on WWE TV. There's no Hulk Hogan. Most of the contracts that WWE purchased at the time or acquired at the time were more on the mid carders, heck, with limited numbers of main eventers like Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, and most of it are mid carders. Then, after the invasion, didn't or tank or didn't really do well. Hence came 2002, and Vince McMahon hired or rehired or re-signed Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, collectively known as NWO in WWE. So they hired him in WWE around February 2002 or January 2002. So they were even, you know, presented, or they were the first time they shown in WWE TV was actually No Way Out 2002. NWO and No Way Out. Connect the dots. But yeah, they entered as bad guys or or as heels. Then I believe where internally, creatively, Vince McMahon wanted Hulk Hogan to face. According to some news, it was supposed to be Steve Austin for WrestleMania 18, but contracting news it was The Rock. They chose Hogan versus The Rock. I guess their personality or their characters clashed more compared to Hogan or Steve Austin. But even for me back at the time, I'll watch either both. So WrestleMania 18 came. It was Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan of NWO versus The Rock, which the fans turned on The Rock and made Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, from black and white NWO to the red and yellow Hulk Hogan again in span of like 2 weeks or maybe yeah. They're cheering Hulk Hogan again. It's nostalgic for some reason, even for me at the time when I was watching. And at the time there was no WWE TV here in the Philippines. I don't know why. So I have to like buy like DVDs of each show just to see it because there's no YouTube back then. There's the internet is really in its infancy at the time here in the Philippines, so you don't have any fix. And I was like even surprised when I was like they're cheering Hulk Hogan. He was supposed to be the bad guy, but yeah, that's where when the fans, I guess at the fans after the Attitude Era, they were like reminiscing in 2002 the return of Hulk Hogan. Like I said, he's like Optimus Prime to me, even to me as a fan. But then again, their contract for Hulk Hogan, it's different. Like I said, even though he was considered a top guy at the time, his age is not really that. You know, he's on advanced age. He's really old at the time. Knee injuries, back injuries. So him were has like a weird contract of he can only be presented in WWE TV for like 5 dates in a year. But yeah, then afterwards, the 2003, he wrestled Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 19 in a street fight, a brilliant street fight. It's actually one of my favorite WrestleMania 19 matches, along with Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho and Brock versus Kurt Angle. That was actually a highlight for me. It's actually the for me. WrestleMania 19 was like main evented by four matches. Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho stole the show definitely. Brock versus Kurt, Rock Austin 3, and Vince McMahon versus Hulk Hogan. With Hulk Hogan winning uh, at WrestleMania 19 against Vince McMahon. Then afterwards, he was gone again. There was like this poor, rebranding of him from Hulk Hogan to like Mr. America. Him wearing a mask and garbing in red, white, and blue garb. Then afterwards, he left due to contract issues and whatnot. He came back in 2005. Again, he was inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, cementing his status as a legend. But at the time, he was actually that's 2005. If you ask me, if you're a wrestling fan, do I consider myself as an historian? Probably, I guess, because I have this weird knowledge that even I discuss to my wife sometimes of the wrestling business. I believe 2005 in my end, if you ask me, my opinion. Like I guess, like I said, this is bad take. That was the downfall of Hulk Hogan because he signed in with this network. I forgot which network, and they did a reality show because that was the time that reality show in the states were like booming, or it's cheaper to produce. But according to the books, to other historians, it wasn't supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen because you're showcasing the bad side of your family. Hogan's knows best. So it's like the time that, like I said, popular TV at the time in the States or even here in the Philippines were reality TV. They showcase more on the bad side or negative side of Hulk Hogan's family than the positive side. It was really bad, if you ask me. A lot of things happened during the time when they were like producing it. Hulk Hogan and his wife Linda at the time had a divorce. Nick Hogan, his son, had an accident that paralyzed a passenger on the car. Then Brooke Hogan, whatever. So that's, if you ask me, that started the downfall of Hulk Hogan's career. Despite coming in and out in WWE, that started it, the downfall. I believe his last match in WWE was against Randy Orton in 2006, and then afterward, everything shut down from then on. He just coming in and out as a visitor or whatnot, a cameo appearance and whatnot. Then a decade ago, I believe, on the day of his passing this week, that's when uh, I believe one of the biggest scandal that hit his career and life happened when uh, it's weird. You can go to, here's the thing. I'm promoting his show because I like his page and character and how he presented Roy William Johnson. He likes these true crime stories. There's a part of them about Hulk Hogan. Really love the guy. I don't know him personally. I just love his show. I just every morning when I wake up, I like watching his show because he's the until guy. Shout out for Ray William Johnson. Love your show, dude. Um, he presented Hulk Hogan about that, and according to this is basically the bad side of this story of his life. He is friends with a radio DJ in the states called Bubba the Sponge. I don't know, Love Sponge or whatnot. Don't know the guy. And according to them, is that they had like an open marriage with his wife, and he let Hulk Hogan at the time, who was single, I believe, you know, screw around with their with their marriage and whatnot. And then, but the thing is, there was this videotape. Uh, I don't know if it's still in the internet right now, but it's quite not really that. I'm not. I don't know. It's like I said, your perspective and mindset. I believe at the time, her daughter Brooke was dating an African American man, and he said negative terms about that. N word was used, and then it blew up. That Hulk Hogan had both at the time had a love scandal, meaning videotape, of him having intercourse with Bubba the Love Sponge wife, and then the racial connotation of that. and at the time really ruined his career and life. Even that WWE decided we're suspending you, or we're trying going to try to remove you from the WWE Hall of Fame because of that incident. They welcome him back, and even though. But the thing is, the impact that they use, I even forgo the TNA thing. They said they ruined TNA. They renamed TNA to Impact Wrestling. Removed the six sided ring, everything. But I forgo that because it's not compared to the cultural impact of Hulk Hogan in the 80s, the NWO and Hall of Fame to the latter part of the last decade of his career. It's like really like a blip. But maybe we can discuss it some other time. Uh, but yeah, that this past decade, in a way, that ruined both Hulk Hogan's life and career. He tried to come back. He tried to become a positive light again. I believe at the latter part of his life, he became a born again Christian. What else? Uh, he promoted a beer, real American beer, I believe, and he and Eric Bishop, started this that I believe they will start a promotion supposedly next month, Real American Fighting, which is like a grappling show or wrestling instead of like it's like an in between version of pro wrestling to MMA. So it's more of like grappling. It's like knuckle fighting, bare knuckle, whatever. To like more of them are amateur wrestling. So that's I believe their show next month. Um, he tried to come back, uh, even with WWE, because earlier this year when Raw was on Netflix, the debut on Netflix, he was heavily booed at Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, California. I mean, most of the things you were here were booing, and later I will give my opinion about that because it's like I said, it's kind of polarizing to even discuss. Then that's the last time Hulk Hogan appeared on WWE TV. Then I believe mid this year, even earlier this year, I believe he had like surgery on his neck, which according to some people, medical experts, caused the cardiac arrest that they have. I believe he had like a surgery on his neck, you know. Then yeah, this week, July 24th, which is a day after my wife's birthday, um, Hulk Hogan passed away, leaving a heavy mark, both positive and negative, in the wrestling business. So here's my bad take. Like I said, I was a Hulkamania until I found, Shawn Michaels, which became, oh, wrestling could be like athletically good, and they can add personality as well. Uh, the thing with for me, Hulk Hogan will definitely live in infamy because there's no, like I said, there's no WWE on Netflix right now. There's no billion-dollar deals or whatnot without Hulk Hogan or even Vince McMahon. There is no TNA. There is no WCW. If Hulk Hogan wasn't really that popular at the time, there's no AEW. If there's no like the impact of pro wrestling or the Hulk Hogan's impact in pro wrestling during the time. So it's okay for me. It's okay to pay respect to the guy. And people will tell me, coach, he is a racist or he was a racist. The thing is, I believe I said this a few episodes ago that there's only one thing I tried what I can say his name now. I last a couple of weeks ago I tried watching a Chris Benoit match, but then I stopped before the match, or not even the match, during the match. I stopped watching. It's like embedded in my mind of what Chris Benoit did. If I'm going to compare what Chris Benoit did in the latter part of his life to Hulk Hogan's like tame. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. The R word. Being racist is not good. He even had, I believe, he even like an interview a few months ago, and he said that I'm not a racist, but there's like everyone has like a little racism in their blood or in their personality. And that last statement, I couldn't agree more. If you're Filipino like me, or even in this world, there's that part. Um, the African American community. Sorry, I have friends with that, with those, with, I have friends from the African American community during my time in working in the BPO companies. They hated him because of being, I like it's brotherhood. I know. I'm Filipino. I am a victim of racism myself when I was working in the BPO company. I've been called when I started in the BPO in 2007 or 2008ish. I did my first collection call because I was doing a collection account or was working in a collection account. I've been called a monkey by Americans, and because on the system I can saw there's a race in their, you know and Caucasian, African American, and they called me a monkey. Both of those, both of them. And like for me, I know I'm not. So, but the time I was starting, I mean, you can hear my accent, a Filipino accent, really, 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 really. You can hear my accent at that time. I don't know if you can hear something right now, but at the time, you can really, really. I don't have a thick Filipino accent at the time when I speak in English or talk in English, compared to now that I can believe. But you can still hear that Filipino accent, that Tagalog accent. And for me, that racism really runs in the blood of a person. Sorry, but that's true. If you're a Filipino, I even said it. Here in the Philippines, if you call a Chinese in check, Chinese a Chinese person will be offended. Even a black person here, if you call we call them the N word here in the Philippines. Sorry, but that's the truth. Some people are offended, some are not. If you call an Indian here Indian, even from India, Bombay, because they're from Bombay, that Indian will be offended. We have as Filipinos, we have that racist connotation on our end. I'm not promoting it as a positive, but we all do. You just have to look in the mirror and admit that that's true. Sorry, people might hate this show because of that, but like I said, that's the truth. I don't know Hulk Hogan personally. I don't know which side of the bed that he woke up during that time that he said those racial connotations about Brooks at the time boyfriend. I think maybe as a father he just didn't really want her daughter to be married to an African American man. He may be just caring for her daughter. We don't know. We don't know because you can hear the tones, hear any see any angles of that video of connotation of Hulk Hogan being racist to that person. That every most of the thing is when I was reading like the tributes, Twitter or whatnot, Elijah Burke, Devon Dudley, Mark Henry himself, they were giving this great tribute to Hulk Hogan and their African Americans. Why are people living in hate because of the racial connotations? I don't know why. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You have to release that hate. The dude is already dead. The dude is already passed away, and people still want to slander his name. For me, the impact of Hulk Hogan in the wrestling business is really really big. But do I prejudice him or being racist if he really was? I don't know. I probably not. Probably I am. Like because I said, me myself being a victim of racism. Okay, I don't. It's not like I don't mind. If I know in my brain or my mind or my heart that I'm not the person that you guys think, then I don't really care. I mean, I'm not saying this against the African American people. Don't hate me. Don't bash me. I'm just speaking my opinion or my mind. They said that their race are being targeted in the states, and that's true. I'm not saying it's not because it's not true. It's true. I'm sorry, it's true. But then again, I'm going to say this. During COVID, during pandemic, and I think in the States everything eased up as well here in the Philippines. At the time lockdown was like being, everything can go. There is this news that I believe a 40-year-old African American, a big dude, attacked an 70 or 80-year-old Filipina in New York. He punched that Filipina, assaulted the Filipina, that 80-year-old woman. And I'm like, and they said, according to them, he thought he was Chinese, or because she's Asian, becomes Filipino, she's the reason why there's COVID. Now, how's that fair for racism? How's that fair? I mean, that's the question. You guys, some people are prejudicing Hulk Hogan because of that, but then there's that part who it's like we're the minority. Filipinos are like minority of the minority. That's weird. So I'm not condoning Hulk Hogan's remarks. Like I said, I don't know the context of those. Maybe, like I said, he woke up the wrong on the bed. Maybe it's more on fatherly issues. We don't know. But we tend to judge a person of public image personally. I don't watch wrestling because of their personal perspective. I don't watch movies because of their personal lives. I watch movies, TV shows, wrestling because of the characters and the stories. Except, like I said, this is the exception. Murder, with what Chris Benoit did, or maybe sexual assault by other people. I don't condone special ed. If I hear something about that, that's the time I guess I put the line of, I'm not gonna support this guy anymore. So it's weird just because of Hulk Hogan became racist that they judged him as that. And that's weird. But the impact of Hulk Hogan in the wrestling business is still reverberated here until today. I know this is a long, maybe I can end it as 45 minutes, sorry. Um, but look at Hulk Hogan's impact. He is the only guy that did blockbuster money as a good guy with the Hulk Hogan Hulkamania red and yellow, and as a bad guy with NW black and white. Their shirts until now are selling pancakes. NWO. And I just saw an action figure here on Facebook pages or marketplace that 5,000 pesos. So I don't know how much that maybe $100 for a 3-pack Hulk Hogan toy. Yeah, he just passed away, and I believe they were selling it like 2,500, 2,000 back before then. Then when he passed away, it became like 500,000, 5,000 pesos. I'm sorry. That's his impact. That's a business impact. I'm sorry about the racial connotations of my opinion about that. Like I said, this is a bad take. My bad take, my opinion. You can take this like a personal attack. It's not. It's not. I'm not attacking any race. I'm not attacking any country or any place or whatnot, any beliefs, any cultural beliefs, because I don't. Because I'm a victim myself, but I just don't really care because, like I said, I know who I am in my heart and in my mind. If I, technically, I don't even ask myself if I'm a good person because I don't know if I am, but I have my bad opinions according to some people. It's how you embrace things. It's how you embrace both love and hate. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. You have to rise above hate. You have to rise above the things that's negative. Be positive in your life, especially if you are a young one. Don't embrace the stress. Don't embrace the negativity at your early age because when you're at my age, you will just think, "Oh my God, I wasted a lot of my energy during being that." That's my take. That's my opinion. Um, on my end, rest in paradise, Hulk Hogan. I hope wherever you are, you know the cultural impact that you did to fans, wrestling fans globally, even with this one. So say your prayers wherever you are, brother. So this is again Bad Take with Coach 23 here, the podcast, Crypto Podcast, and uh later I may be also posting a 40 something episode, uh more on the unboxing of the ZD Spider-Man figures. But next week or next time, next episode for 40 something, I don't care. It's already 3 weeks. It, spoilers are already statute of limitation for spoilers are already thrown up. I'll be reviewing Superman 2025, James Gunn Superman. So thank you guys. Hopefully you guys watch, subscribe. If you have opinion in my bad take, that's fine. I'm not gonna take it personally. It's just my opinion. I'm not saying my opinion are gospel because it's not. It's just my opinion. It's something that I believe even in my mind. If you could say it's bad belief, that's fine. It's your opinion as well. So thank you for watching, listening to the podcast, Recruiter Podcast here at Bad Take with Coach 23. See you next time.